Keith Olbermann has arguably been the primary inspiration for most of my political views for the better part of the last 15 years. Longtime subscribers to my channel might remember that when I was first making content on YouTube, stringing news clips together and setting them to whatever dramatic movie music I thought appropriate was the way that I did politics. I'm currently working on a new version of the series I made on now former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker in this manner. Then, when Countdown with Keith Olbermann ended its runs, first on MSNBC and then on Current TV, which is now Al Jazeera America, I decided that I got much more enjoyment out of finding good top 10, top 15, or top 20 lists about political things, both serious and fun, and reading them in the way that I believe he would read them, along with Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor for a worst person in the world effect. In this way, I have hoped to keep the memories of his special comments and worst person in the world lists alive. Mr. Olbermann's most recent video series has been Olbermann vs. Trump. I have not watched all of the videos in the series yet, but episode 15 definitely caught my attention. He titled it The 50 Worst Trump Atrocities and added, quote, "Not going to beat around the bush here. I need you to share this as widely as you can. On Twitter, Facebook, emails, embedding, take it door to door, here on YouTube, on YouthThant, on platforms yet unannounced," unquote. So I figured, what better way to bring this tumultuous, tempestuous, as well as downright weird, political season to an end by sharing his list while creating my own visual presentation of what's on it, worst person in the world style. So, without further ado, take it away please, Mr. Olbermann.
This is the list of the 50 worst Trump atrocities. Number 50, he was impeached. My God, it's the 50 worst Trump atrocities, and impeachment is only number 50. Number 49, repeatedly claiming that until he began to mention it, nobody knew that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. Number 48, in August 2019, claiming he would be curing AIDS and curing childhood cancer, quote, very shortly. The foreshadowing of the vaccine is imminent claim is astounding. Number 47, insisting his beautiful new health care plan to replace Obamacare would be announced immediately. He started claiming this in January 2017. Number 46, telling the Agriculture Department to never again use the phrases climate change or reduce greenhouse gases, and instead say jobs and infrastructure more often. Number 45, it's Infrastructure Week. Number 44, ordering transgendered persons out of the military, out of the bathrooms, out from under the protections of the Civil Rights Act. Number 43, continuously claiming that CNN and the other networks were cutting away from his fascist rallies because he can see the red lights on their cameras going off, even though none of those cameras have red lights. And if he's seeing red lights, he needs a CAT scan stat. Number 42, saying of any athlete who took a respectful knee during the national anthem, quote, "Get that son of a bitch off the field," using the vice president for a prearranged stunt where he walked out of an Indianapolis Colts football game, a stunt that cost you, the taxpayer, $250,000. Number 41, threatening to defund sanctuary cities in 2017, threatening to defund anarchist cities in 2020. They're the same cities. Number 40, started calling the news media the enemy of the people in February 2017 and demanded the, quote, fake news networks be investigated by the Senate Intelligence Committee. Number 39, insisting Hurricane Dorian would hit Alabama. When the National Weather Service corrects him, he shows a map in which the hurricane's path crosses Alabama. It's a map which had been poorly and obviously altered with a Sharpie. Also tossing paper towels to the inundated underwater victims of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Number 38, blaming the California wildfires on not enough raking of the forest, and then hoping for more global warming because he was cold. Number 37, evading the emoluments clause daily, hourly, renting space in Trump Tower to a government-run Chinese bank and the government of Abu Dhabi, institutionalizing pay-for-play by demanding diplomats who wanted access stay at his hotel in D.C., forever traveling to his own properties and then billing us for the rooms and the $3 water bottles and the tea times at Bushwood. Number 36, claiming Obama wiretapped my office, which became Obama spied on me, which became lock him up. Number 35, dismantling the early warning pandemic preparedness unit in September 2019 and leaving 700 CDC posts unfilled. Number 34, repeatedly lying that he'll soon release his tax returns, but he can't right now because they're being audited. Nothing prevents anyone from releasing returns under audit. Number 33, insulting the memory of the late Congressman Dingell and the late Congressman Lewis and the late Senator McCain. Number 32, threatening to nuke North Korea and nuke Iran on Twitter in words that sound like graffiti scratched into the stall of a public toilet. Number 31, every other one of his goddamn tweets. Number 30, saying Joe Biden, quote, hurt the Bible, hurt God, he's against God. Number 29, revealing classified intel about American infiltration of ISIS to the Russian foreign minister and the Russian ambassador in the White House with no other Americans present, talking privately to Putin without other Americans present at least 17 times. Number 28, the haircut and the orange clown makeup and the fact that he thinks they make him look like Winston Churchill. Number 27, boasting he aced a mental acuity test because he could remember the words person, woman, man, camera, TV. Number 26, when North Korea tortured Otto Warmbier to death defending Kim Jong-un. When the Saudis murdered Jamal Khashoggi defending Mohammed bin Salman. When American intelligence found the Russians had interfered with the election defending Putin. Number 25, tweeting that the 4 congresswomen of color, Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Presley, and Tlaib, should go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came. They came from New York, Cincinnati, and Detroit, and Tlaib graduated from North Dakota freaking State. Number 24, moaning about the wall, lying about the wall, insisting Mexico was paying for the wall. Number 23, running for re-election, lying for re-election, bribing for re-election from the day he took the oath of office. Number 22, trying to launch a new birther conspiracy against Senator Kamala Harris, failing, instead calling her a monster, a socialist, and saying we would never have a socialist president, especially not a woman. Number 21, moving to deport the Dreamers and use the National Guard to arrest the undocumented and end DACA and overrule the Constitution to end birthright citizenship. Number 20, pulling out of the Paris Climate Change Agreement. 195 countries at the conference, 194 countries in the agreement, everybody but us. Number 19, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel only because the evangelical Christians want it, because it works into their end times prophecies in which all the Jews are moved to Jerusalem, then converted, and then there's a rapture. Number 18, outing and persecuting Ukraine whistleblower Colonel Alexander Vindman, and Ambassadors Sondland and Yovanovitch, and Acting Attorney General Sally Yates, and FBI Director Comey. Number 17, saying to the President of Ukraine, I need you to do me a favor, though. Number 16, responding to what is at least the 25th credible accusation of sexual misconduct against him, E. Jean Carroll's charge that he raped her, by saying, quote, Number 1, she's not my type. Number 15, after winning election because of Hillary Clinton's use of private email accounts for government business, letting Hope Hicks use private email for government business, letting Jared Kushner use private email for government business, letting his daughter Ivanka use private email for government business, letting his wife use private email for government business, letting his vice president use private email for government business. Number 14, never acting after the Russians offered a bounty on every American killed in Afghanistan and ultimately siding with the Russians against his own troops. Number 13, calling the American dead from World War I losers, and the dead at the Marines' most hallowed ground, Belleau Wood, suckers, and at the grave of Lieutenant Robert Kelly, killed in Afghanistan, saying with sincere mystification, I don't get it, what was in it for them, as he stood beside Kelly's own father, his own chief of staff. Number 12, personally composing the lie about his son's meeting with Russians, peddling dirt on Hillary Clinton. Just by doing that, he was guilty of obstruction of justice and of creating a White House cover-up, and his campaign was guilty of collusion to fix the last election. Number 11, the whining, the bitching, the moaning, the complaining, the self-martyring, the endless bleating of the snowflake who 3 months into his presidency claimed no other politician in history had ever been so mistreated. Number 10, invoking ancient anti-Semitic tropes by repeatedly claiming that Israel was the real country of Jewish Americans and that any Jewish American who voted for a Democrat showed, quote, great disloyalty. Number 9, calling those protesting the murder of George Floyd thugs, threatening them with their vicious dogs and ominous weapons, trying to call up 10,000 active military members to beat them, gassing the protesters in Lafayette Square, walking to the church and using a Bible as a prop for a photo op, campaigning on, quote, law and order, when what he really means is police state. Number 8, attacking the U.S. Post Office, sabotaging it, stoking lack of confidence in mail-in ballots, and then making up a law that every vote's got to be counted by next Tuesday. Number 7, accusing Adam Schiff of treason, accusing Nancy Pelosi of treason, accusing Barack Obama of treason, accusing Joe Biden of treason, accusing the Democrats who did not applaud him during the 2018 State of the Union address of treason. Number 6, repeatedly refusing to say he would accept the outcome of the 2020 election, just as he had repeatedly refused to say he would accept the outcome of the 2016 election. Number 5, appointing a Supreme Court justice he had no right to appoint, appointing a drinking perjurer to the Supreme Court, appointing a non-drinking perjurer to the Supreme Court. Number 4, his toady Attorney General, lying and burying the Mueller report, issuing a fraudulent 4-page summary, twisting the outcome so Trump could say he'd been exonerated, when Mueller specifically said that if the president clearly did not commit a crime, they would have said so in the report. Barr and Trump will go into history with the men who faked the Gulf of Tonkin attack during Vietnam, and the men who fabricated the excuses for the Spanish-American War, and the men who justified the rationalization of the internment of Japanese Americans in World War II, and the men who sided with slave owners in the Dred Scott Supreme Court case, and the men who faked evidence of WMD in Iraq. Number 3, putting kids in cages. 3 Junes ago, 1,995 children separated from their parents, trying to find safety in our country. 3 Septembers ago, 13,000 kids in a tent city in West Texas. Last week, 545 kids still in government hands, and still we cannot find their parents. Number 2, stochastic terrorism. Trump speaks, others kill on his behalf. Those were his racists at Charlottesville, and he called them very fine people. He inspired the MAGA bomber who sent pipe bombs to 13 Trump critics, and the FBI called me one day and say, hey, guess what? There's a second list in his computer and you're on it. The El Paso shootings, 20, killed by a man repeating Trump's claim of a Hispanic, quote, invasion. Tweeting liberate Michigan and liberate Virginia, and then white nationalists try to kidnap the governors of both states. Refusing to denounce the QAnon terror group because they like him. Telling the Proud Boy terrorists to stand back and stand by, pointing towards the crowd at a Florida rally, while a couple in the front row flashed the white power symbol to him last Friday. And number 1, the pandemic. All of it. From the first minute to a minute ago. 226,000 dead. And a study from Columbia University that 210,000 of those deaths could have been avoided. From it'll magically go away to his chief of staff almost boasting on Sunday, quote, we're not going to control the pandemic. And this creature, this murderer Trump, should be indicted for negligent homicide for every single American dead.